this neighborhood, right? And right before the park, I'm like, oh, something's here. And I, put down the stuff in my hand. And this was a banner. This banner was crumpled up in this water filtration. And you know what the funniest part of this is? I uncrumple it, right? Guess what it says? I was mad. Someone made a banner that literally says "Hose mad." That's crazy, right? Very crazy. You know what else is even crazier? All of this litter is from toxic things. Candy, processed things and sugar, cigarette, plastic, pharmaceuticals, a soda, top lid and straw. Like, literally, all of this is bad. And what's worse is it's litter. So it's not just people who wanted to hurt their own bodies. It's people who don't care about the earth. So yeah, that rubbed me really wrong. I gotta walk a good bit of distance to get to a trash can here at this park. But look at this lovely view. Lovely walk. Lovely walk. Look at how beautiful the forest spirits and Mother Earth, nature is. Look at the bird. But, oh my gosh, I just saw it like the moon passed where the clouds are. I was like, whoa. I don't know when I disconnected. So I don't know what y'all heard last, but I'm still walking to find a trash can for this. It's up there. I'm just also, it's a great time to have people join the live. And I have my backpack in my other hand with my stuff in it, but it is literally holding onto my elbow, pinched against my stomach. This is so dirty though. Look at this nasty thing. Ew. Alright, oh my gosh, wait 1 second. I'm just gonna put this against the bag. Okay, so bear with me one moment as I set up the tripod, and I brought my notebook with my notes to talk about delicious water, cleansing, healing, purifying, regenerating. Delicious. Drink your water. Oh hey, the baby. I love your name. I wasn't even reading chat. Oh, looks like beautiful weather. Absolutely. Humid. I think it was like 40% humidity. Something like that when I checked last. But it's like 85, 86 degrees. Okay, I actually don't know what's going on at this park because it's next to a fire station, like a volunteer fire station, right? But the doors have never been opened while I was here. And then I look over at where that honking noise came from. And again, I say every time that I'm not really gonna pay attention to chat, but like I am gonna like pause and put people in timeout or delete their comments if it is getting offensive or just like rude. So yeah, please just be respectful of the chat. I don't really want to address the chat when I do speak, and especially when I go on my rants, like educational rants, I don't want to be looking at chat. So yeah. And also, like, for me, I have to be aware of my environment since I am outside live streaming. Like, it's a public park, but there are like plenty cars and people that just stare at me or look over at me. Like just now, I heard just people talking. Like someone has like a high pitched voice over there, and I heard them yapping. Um, but yeah, so I'm at the park. I'm at the park today. Um, but yeah, I'm at the park, and I am going ahead and deleting a comment because what did I just say? If people like never turn your back to people. Okay, I'm not gonna talk or listen to the chat or pay attention to the chat. All right, 6 minutes in. I say that almost every live though because again, I want people who watch this live back or people who I don't know, just trying to pay attention or trying to listen with it in the background. I don't want me to like keep pausing or interrupting my train of thought to talk to people. But if you guys have genuine questions in the chat about what I'm discussing, ask your question. I'll answer it, right? But I don't even see myself as a sexual person as being non-binary, right? Y'all could literally see it tatted on my clavicle. Like I have that. I actually, you know what? It's funny because I'm gonna start posting my songs on my YouTube channel now since I've like been going live and getting all these thoughts and ideas out. But I'm gonna start like actually posting on my live and like my channel music. And one of those lines is like a song about the LGBTQ community. But it's like stop talking about the LGBT. It's like the first line, right? But it's like you're confused why I'm what is it? It's like you're confused why I'm going this hard. Take a look at what's tatted on my clavicle. Non-binary, two-spirit, trans umbrella. I don't care about pronouns anymore. Yeah, I don't care about pronouns anymore. Call me he, she, they, or it was like he, she, them, or fella. And the notebook, like, if I had my like poetry and music and notes notebook, I would be able to share like literally the lyrics. But this is my, as you can see, my beautiful name, right? This is my educational, spiritual, excuse me, like wisdom type of journal, or like getting my thoughts out. If I have like an intrusive thought, or like if I'm in a mood, I'll just write about it and just let it simmer. Because sometimes, and this is what I wanted to talk about yesterday. If you are, excuse me, if you were here from yesterday, I don't know if anyone is, right? Thank you for the like on the live. I appreciate it though. If you were here from yesterday, I was talking about hormones and dopamine brain levels. Your hormone levels and your dopamine levels in your brain are the same thing as an emotion or a feeling coming in and out of your brain, right? But it has to be balanced. You have to have a balanced emotion, a balanced feeling to really feel it and release it. Because the thing about not having your emotions balanced or in check, let's just say, if you don't have your emotions in check, they could literally dictate and run your life. So imagine someone who's constantly feeling anger, someone who's constantly feeling frustrated, right? That's not an emotion you want to feel, right? Not everyone wants to feel angry or uncomfortable or irritable. So the same thing with sadness, right? Nobody wants to feel sad all the time. Nobody wants to feel depressed all the time. And just like with dopamine in your brain, right? If you have too high or too low levels of dopamine, you can get a mental injury from that, especially if your dopamine levels are low enough for a prolonged period of time. And then on top of that, if you're letting your emotions run your life, that's a mental injury. You have a mental injury. So yeah, I'm gonna speak on that, and then I have a note card of notes because I was listening to a reading today, and I had one last purple flashcard, index card, and it was blank. And I was like, oh, perfect. Let me write this down. The spirit was really speaking to me today. Okay, so yeah, the last day of August, I was doing this research for 2 hours. Like literally just, oh, this sign, 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 right? And I was making sure that my research was also from reputable journals and doctorates. I'm pretty sure PhD means doctor, no matter what profession it is. So I have a peer-reviewed article here, and then an article written by a doctor. But basically, my research was on how mental health and physical health interact with your hormone and dopamine and serotonin levels in your brain. I don't know if I spoke on serotonin the last live I went, but serotonin also plays a huge part. Serotonin, melatonin, GABA, dopamine, um, glutamine, acetylcholine or cholin. It's acetylcholin. So I don't know if that's how you say it, but yeah. But yeah, so this is 2 hours of research I did to be able to share. I was so excited after it too. That was the funny part. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this information to talk about in my next live. Um, so yeah, but let me see. I think it's like 2 articles, 2 or 3. But the other one is talking about. Well, one of them is talking about chronic disorders like bipolar and manic disorder, and then the other one was an article about schizophrenia and the levels of dopamine um, being unbalanced or not properly um, even. I don't. I don't know how to word it without like a picture or display, but yeah. So let me just go to the first article here. Oh, and I also, like, as I was scrolling my YouTube feed, there was a quote from Lao Tzu, Laotzu, Lao Tzu, and this is, I'm pretty sure, from Taoism, if I'm not mistaken. But this Lao Tzu, or Zhou, Lao Tzu or Zhou, I'm not quite sure. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But I'm pretty sure this was like just a really good philosopher from I'm not sure which country. I'm not sure which country, right? But it's like Asian, East Asian, in that area, in that region, right? But I have to fact check. I have to double check on that. But Lao Tzu, some of you may have heard of him. They have a quote. It's, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. So that is from Lao Tzu. And yesterday I was speaking about my um, drug cycle or drug habits from the past, and realizing how much I was using getting high or smoking or hitting a bong or drinking wine to kind of boost my dopamine levels and my serotonin, instead of actually dealing with whatever was happening in like a physical way or a mental way. Um, so yeah, I was like, yep. Well, y'all can watch that live. It was from yesterday. But thank you so much as well. I think it got over 100 views. And that's more than all of my subscribers. So I want to say thank you guys so much. If you shared the live, if you replayed the live after watching it, if you replayed the live after it was posted, like the recording. But I'm very thankful for this little community of people that watch me and that listen and become educated, right? Which is what I hope. Sorry, that was a spider web on the top of my camera. But this type of content, and let me actually move this so y'all could see my face a little bit better, because the sun's like directly against me, but
I'm gonna walk
it's
on this side so I don't mess you up.
okay. So thanks. So anyway, um, so this article, right, talking about schizophrenia, it says schizophrenia is strongly linked with excessive activity of dopamine neurotransmitters, which is when your dopamine pathway is overactive. That's the medical term for that. So this can give off symptoms that, sorry, wait. Yeah, this can give off symptoms like hallucinating or seeing um, things in the corner of your eye or things that aren't there. So and it's crazy because in my research, some articles put positive traits of schizophrenia being hallucinations, but there was also, which is like again about these little connections and subtleties, because I watched a YouTube video and then I looked up an article and then like related questions linked me to two other articles, and then that reminded me of a different YouTube video that I saw in the beginning of this year, and then that linked me to um, dopamine serotonin levels, um, what's it called, just like mental imbalances, because humans are so fragile. Humans are so fragile. Oh my gosh. Like, we don't drink enough water, we're dehydrated. Our body doesn't work, we're tired, right? If we don't get enough sunlight, we become antisocial, we become irritable, we become, we think more negatively of our self image. If you don't excuse me, if you don't play enough in your life, then you can become too strict and harsh and rigid. But if you play too much in your life, people think you're immature and they don't respect you as much sometimes, and they view you as a child. So it's like between your relationships and your work or school and your like responsibilities at home, some people may not even take care of their bodies like on a regular healthy basis. Some people may just, rip and run, hustle, go, 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 and not take any time to have proper sleep or proper nutrition or proper hydration. And, that's a recipe for disaster. So, yeah. But as I was saying this, the going back to the article saying um, listing hallucinations as like positive or negative, and I had not seen enough research where it's like a percentage base, like there's not data behind it. It's just some people think it's a positive, some people think it's a negative. But going back to why I'm a certified life coach and a certified personal trainer and a spiritualist, but I am non-binary. I don't really care about labels too much. Um, but I'm a mystic, and I'm a person who connects all these things together because they are related in some way. Like if you are in a positive environment and have good surroundings, um, right? Let's just say, for example, like you will hallucinate positive, um, like things, like angels speaking to you, passed on loved ones sending you messages, maybe sometimes, or like um, I don't know. I haven't hallucinated before. I have no idea. But then there were like negative articles about hallucinating. And it's like if you're around a bad environment, or if you had a bad upbringing, or if you've had like really specific things happen in your life that impacted the way that you view community or relationships, then you can, see where that goes. Like if you're around positive people, you get positive projections or interactions or hallucinations, right? But if you're around negative people or a not good environment for you, you're going to become, again, like more negative. You're going to have scary hallucinations and a lot of intrusive thinking, a lot of intrusive thoughts, a lot of impulsivity. Um, and it basically ruins your life. So, um, I'd love to do research on schizophrenia patients, honestly. Like, because with this information too, like my life coaching was backed by like neuroscience. So we learned about Carl Jung, we learned about the shadow self, shadow work, um, um, personal empowerment, willpower, motivation, changing habits, changing limiting beliefs. Like, we literally learned how to restructure and reprogram the mind. So for me, finding out as I got older that a mental illness or a mental disease can be treated, can be fixed, can be reversed, right? Because it's actually a mental injury, it's not a mental illness. Just like with cancer, um, what was the other one? Cancer, allergies, diabetes, hypertension. All these things are curable if you're doing literally everything properly in your life. If you're hydrating yourself, if you're fasting, if you're cleansing out your gut microbiome. And the other thing with new research is that your gut microbiome is linked to your thoughts and your brain activity. So the people who are, oh, I'm depressed, so I'm anxious, so I'm OCD, right? They're not tackling their anxious, ADHD, OCD, depression, um, and mania can all be fixed with diet, exercise, and reprogramming your mind, right? This is any illness, really, any illness. I'm not even speaking um, from what I know, like, oh, I did this research on these people. No, I'm saying anybody can be cured and treated because you have power and divinity over yourself. So when I'm sharing this research or when I'm talking about these things, I'm speaking from a point of positivity. I'm speaking from a point of wanting people to know so they just change their thoughts, change their mind, change the way that they view life. Because if your whole life, right, if you were told, oh, let's just keep with the schizophrenia topic, right? If you were told, oh, um, within our family there was a grandmother, a grandfather, let's just say, and their genetics didn't pass down schizophrenia to me, your parent, but they might potentially skip a generation and go to you, the child. So then, right, then with their limited knowledge, you're like, oh, schizophrenia, the person can't make their own decisions, they don't have good relationships, they isolate themselves, and they don't want to form relationships. But if you were someone, right, and that's their mindset, like what I just explained, that's their mindset of what they think they're going to become because of the potential genetically for it to pass down or skip a generation to them. And quite frankly, I don't even know the research on skipping a gene, but I don't think that's true. I'm sorry. Like, because I do believe in science and things, but also, like, everything that your genetics, your DNA, your family, your blood, everything, right, within us is passed down. So how is it going to skip a generation and miss you, but it got me, right? Um, I'm taking this hypothetical too personal. But right, let's go back to the hypothetical, right? But if you were told, hey, your grandfather, father, or grandmother potentially had schizophrenia and it showed up later in their life, we're concerned about you because it didn't show up later in life with me, so we're concerned about you now. And they are like, we're going to take you to psychologists, we're going to make sure you have the proper training and nutrition, we're going to check in on you, we're going to give you love and affirmations and words of kindness. There's going to be um, you know, giving gifts, giving rewards, giving quality time, right? All of those things can literally help someone who's a schizophrenic person who has a schizophrenic injury from the mental, um, what is it called? Oh my gosh. I was just saying it too. I don't know why it was on the tip of my tongue and this is the people yelling outside in their backyard by the pool. Um, Hormones, because they're hormones, of the imbalance of hormones and vitamins and lack of community. All those things together, right? All those things together. Because if you do, like, 50% of the work is your diet and what you're intaking and what you're watching. So, right, anybody could become an extremist of anything, everything is a spectrum. Everything is in increments, right? So they say schizophrenia is like any mental illness, but any mental injury is on a scale, because people like to think of mental health as extremes, but it's really the person's background and what they're intaking, right? Because if you decide to, let's just say, the first hypothetical was what you are, right? You were someone who was told, hey, you have the potential to have this illness, right? And you weren't given the right information, you don't have the right resources around you, and you don't have a positive community to fortify your mind with and your self-worth, right? Then you have to do everything in your power to like get out of that environment and have enough water, have proper food, have proper training. And then if you move out of that environment into another space, sometimes your mental health does improve, because sometimes people are just in the wrong environment and it takes a toll on themselves internally. Maybe it shows up as a migraine. Maybe it shows up as hip tension, muscle tension in the lower part of your body, your ankles, your hips, your knees, something like that. But for the most part, your environment does dictate your mental health. So when I talk about grounding and taking care of the earth, I'm also talking about yourself in that, right? Because if we're all on this earth and we all came from this earth, we came from the dirt, came from the ground, whatever, the story is there. But if we all are on this earth and from this earth, that means we have to ground with this earth. That means we have to connect with this earth, right? So if you're not in a good environment, or not in a good space, right? Go outside as much as you can. Go outside as much as you can. Even in the winter, even in the colder months, just being outside, looking at the grass as it sways in the wind, looking at the trees or the bushes or the lake or the river or the stream, whatever you're around, right? It could just be a forest, right? You just walk through the forest. But grounding yourself and being in nature as much as possible allows for you to release your environment, release that tension, release that stressful, tense feeling, right? Because the body keeps the score, right? And that is another part of where personal training and physical health comes into play with mental and emotional health, right? Because there's a fantastic book called Your Body Keeps the Score, but it's speaking about your memory and your fascia, because fascia is what your physical memory in your body is, and it's connected to all of your muscles and everything around you, right? You can't see it externally, it's under your skin, obviously, but it is your memory. It holds memory. So, for example, when you do yoga, right, or when you do certain stretching positions that release and open up your hips, right, get your range of motion, get your movement, right? You can move your whole body, but mostly to loosen your hips and your lower back, right? Once you start doing exercises like that and grounding yourself, you're gonna feel an emotional purging. You're gonna feel that pinched nerve. You're gonna feel that tension loosen and loosen and loosen, and then the memory loosens, right? So people who exercise a lot, people who run, people who do marathons, people who train, who do sports, their mind is sharper because of their connection to their body, number one. But number two, they are flowing. Their energy and their movement is flowing up and down, up and down, up and down. It's not pinched here, it's not pinched here, pinched in the stomach, in the shoulders, in the back, neck, whatever, right? They know how to take care of themselves, and they also know how to live in the moment, right? How to be in the moment, how to be in the present, how to be grounded in the activity that you're doing right now, right? Some say that is a form of meditation for others, to work out, to stretch, to do activities like sports, right? But the whole point of the matter is that they're finding ways to naturally heal themselves. They're finding ways to naturally others couldn't for themselves. Okay, so I know I just talked about different topics, but that makes sense, right? I really do. So yeah, their electrolytes, their food intake, their water intake. If you are active and being more physical, then you're also on top of those things as well. So it's a big circle. It's a big cycle of self-care and self-love, right? So think about sports a little bit differently now, right? Think about yoga a little bit differently. So back to this article though. So that was the thing about community and movement, because I was just like, where did I leave off on? It was talking about the symptoms of hallucinating and complex conditions. But so it says this complex condition involves multiple neurotransmitter systems, including glutamate, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine. Disruptions in these systems cause different symptoms. I'm gonna say that one more time. Disruptions in these systems cause different symptoms. So that's where you see that mental health is mental illness, mental injury, whatever you want to call it, but it is on a spectrum, right? Because your symptoms and your systems are connected. So if all of your systems are affected, you're gonna get a lot more issues to deal with. Versus if you have a few symptoms to deal with, you're gonna have more things to just be able to not more things. I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to pinpoint things more accurately. Okay, so cause different symptoms. These are cognitive deficiencies and negative symptoms. Research is ongoing and continued research is exploring how all of these things interact. Glutamate affects, when glutamate is affected, it links to negative symptoms like social withdrawal, impaired cognitive function, which is your mental processing, right? But cognitive function is extremely important. It's like how you learn, how you memorize things, how much your attention goes to something, your motivation. Cognitive function is so important, right? So important. Language skills, social skills, emotional intelligence, all of that, right? So the symptoms are social withdrawal, impaired cognitive function, memory and attention issues. So GABA, when it is negatively affected, can contribute to disorganized thinking. And yeah, so that was an article based off of research from April 2016. It was from Catherine Gill and Anthony Grace. And this was a book, a chapter out of their book, chapter 10 on schizophrenia and psychotic spectrum disorders. So even in scientific research, they don't call things illnesses or diseases. They say it's a disorder or an injury. So I don't know if a lot of people recognize that, but mainstream media and social media like to say mental this, mental that, mental this, mental that. But if you're not using scientific terms and research that backs these things, then you're just playing telephone online. So, where'd the sun go? Oh my god. There's like clouds passing over the sun right now. Now you can see my face a little better. But there's another article here about the dopamine levels. And there is something, I don't know if people have heard of the proposal of dopamine hypothesis, but that was from the 1960s. And this is kind of like trying to look at research with that perspective from the 1960s and trying to like build off of it or answer questions or, synthesize things. But this is an article from May 2022. It was on healthline.com, but it is an article by Jill Salati Schulman, and they are a PhD professor, probably. But yeah, this is pretty recent, pretty new in terms of research, right? So this is from May 2022, and it says schizophrenia is a severe type of mental illness or injury that affects a person's thoughts, perceptions, and behaviors. Research estimates 1% of adults have it. All right, think of that. Think about that. 1% of 8 billion people in the world have schizophrenia on some sort of spectrum. Think of how many people that is in the world. And, oh my gosh. Sorry, there's another spider web on my phone. I think I just didn't get it all the first time. All right, 1% of 8 billion people. Think about that, right? So, research estimates that the neurotransmitters are impacted negatively, most notably dopamine. This impacts your movement, your sleep, your mood, the way you dream or remember dreams, the way you learn, your memory, etc. Like it can go on. Like it could affect more and more things depending on how much on the spectrum of that, of schizophrenia you are. So yeah. Neurotransmitters are basically your brain chemical messengers that help your nerve cells communicate with one another. Different neurotransmitters attach to different receptors on nerve cells. When a neurotransmitter binds or attaches to the right receptor on a nerve cell, it triggers that cell to a specific action. Think of a key going into a lock, right? So in the last article, it was saying how certain neurotransmitters are negatively affected, and that affects the systems that those neurotransmitters are a part of. So there's your scientific big picture. But if these neurotransmitters are not sending signals to the systems and the channels that it needs to, then they are not working, right? The analogy of a key in a lock, that door is still locked. That door is not unlocked. So you're not getting that flow, that chemical messenger, that brain signal to, hey, process this food, hey, digest this food, hey, move this muscle, so then take a step forward, right? Move your mouth and your throat muscles so that people could hear you talk, right? That's what a neurotransmitter does. It sends chemical signals from the brain to that system, and it unlocks that path. If that path is closed or locked, it's not sending that information. It's not getting that signal. You're not taking that action. Your body is not doing the proper processes that it needs to do. Therefore, it goes back to your brain and it affects the way you think. So your gut, and your brain are connected. Because then if you can't take care of yourself, your systems aren't processing, and your brain is scrambled, that affects your heart. I can go into this all day long, right? I would need a board to actually properly, do this rant. But anyway, so back to this article by this PhD professor. So yeah, think of it like a key in a lock. Some schizophrenia symptoms may be triggered when certain areas of the brain have higher levels of dopamine while others have lower levels. For example, the mesolimbic pathway might exhibit hyperactivity, the prefrontal cortex on the other areas of the brain. But the prefrontal cortex may have reduced dopamine activity. So that was just an example. But the mesolimbic pathway is your reward pathway. So that transmits dopamine and regulates your motivation. Dysregulation of this mesolimbic pathway leads to or can be linked to addiction, depression, schizophrenia itself, right? Salience, shifting. And salience, SALIENCE, please look that up. It's very important. But it's funny enough I said it's important. But salience is the amount of importance that you put onto something, or the way that you prioritize that, or the way something sticks out at you, right, in life. Let's just say in life, something catches your attention, sticks out at you. Oh, that's important. Your brain is sending those signals like, oh, this is important, pay attention, this is more important than the other things, right? So you can take any amount of hypotheticals with that, right? People can put way more importance on something that means nothing or is minuscule in their day, right? Talked about mania, talked about depression, anxiety, manic episodes. All of those have, salience. Their salience is not balanced, among other things. But anyway, um, their salience shifting or the quality of being particularly noticeable or important. So your mesolimbic system is very important, as you can tell. Your I'm sorry. Your prefrontal cortex has 4 sub-regions that control self-awareness, emotional regulation, social behavior, impulse control, attention, focus, executive function, and things like that. So a damaged PFC, prefrontal cortex, leads to OCD, ADHD, depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia. Disorders or mental illnesses on a spectrum. So a growing prefrontal cortex leads to increased maturity, emotional intelligence, and improved cognitive skills. So you can see why it is very important. And then this is from the National Library of Medicine on Behavioral Sciences. This article has multiple authors and is copywritten. I do want to say that. But this is more recent, and this is from September 2023. So one year further into the studies. So this is about bipolar manic disorder. So bipolar disorder is a chronic psychiatric disorder with depression and manic episodes. A leading cause of disease-related disability worldwide. Some patients don't adequately benefit from treatment at all, while in psychiatric hospitals and wards and things like that. But you could see how their facilities are set up and how they're treated versus holistic health and grounding and knowing about your body, right? So it says, while underlying mechanisms need to be clarified, recent studies show a relationship between vitamin D and this particular disorder. A case-controlled study consisted of 34 manic bipolar people and 34 healthy control patients. The bipolar manics had lower vitamin D levels than the 34 healthy patients. There's no difference in their calcium or phosphorus levels, though. Therefore, decreased vitamin D levels play a role in the onset of manic episodes. Further studies are needed to compare all mood episodes within this disorder, but vitamin D is only 10% of your nutritional intake. The other 90% of vitamin D has to come from nature. And in nature, it has 2 forms, ergocalciferol and chlorocalciferol. The first one is vitamin D2 and the second one is vitamin D3. So there you go, there you have it. Vitamin D maintains, if you didn't know, maintains the balance between pro and anti-inflammatory mechanisms. So a vitamin D3 deficiency can trigger inflammatory processes. 2 specific enzymes act as a rate limiter in synthesizing serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Vitamin D deficiencies have led to comorbid psychiatric problems due to its critical role in brain development, function, and homeostasis, thus leading to disrupted neurotransmitter synthesis, impaired neuroplasticity, and increased neuroinflammation. For example, vitamin D in your brain acts as a neuroactive steroid hormone. This deficiency affects mood regulation and your behavior overall. Lower levels can also worsen negative effects of stress on your brain. So, drop my index card. So, there you go. You have, let me just drink this. 44 minutes and 50 seconds. Woo! So, with all that being said, right? All that being said, you could see how important taking care of your vitamin and hormone levels and your intake, you could see how important that is. Because if you don't take care of it and you're isolated, you could literally give yourself a mental injury. Okay? And then that's just you basically not being able to live the life, and you're just facing a corner or a wall. Not literally, but that's what it is to your brain. Like, it's secluded, it's in a corner, it wants to hide, it wants to shrink away, it wants to do that over time, right? So when you are taking care of yourself and you're regulated and you're paying attention to these levels, you become more aware. And the more you are aware of yourself, the more you have to um, the more you have to put energy towards that, right? But also, the more aware you become of your faults or the things that you need to fix, then that takes that pressure off of you in other areas. Like, you can feel less anxious when you know yourself more. Your neuroplasticity, like I was talking about, neuroplasticity is when you change a thought or an action in little small increments to the point where it changes your behavior, and it changes your mood, and it changes your mindset, and it changes your life, right? So it's very small, again, like little increments, little small steps that change the way that your brain communicates and functions and sends out signals, right? So every single second, every single moment, our brain, our body, our systems are working, right? Nonstop. We do things involuntarily as human beings so that our bodies can continue and grow and be strong and still work, right? So even if we don't put as much effort as we need to put into our bodies, it's still going to take care of us to a certain point. To a certain point. So this is why I can't stress enough about grounding and being aware of yourself with using life coaching and personal training together combined to elevate your spiritual practice and your spiritual discipline. So again, I'm sharing this. I put the educational hashtag. I hope people see this. I hope people learn. I hope people just get past the first maybe 5-10 minutes of this live and continue watching. Because I was literally talking about littering. Um, but that's important too. So I don't even care about that. That was silly for me to say, I guess. um, but yeah, so I'm gonna start walking around a little bit, but because I'm like, I've been in the same spot for a while. But I'm actually gonna walk to the next bench and talk for a bit and set up there, um, and keep it going. So y'all can see this beautiful sunlight, beautiful area over here, right? So glad I put on my sunscreen today, because boy, there was a live where my face is just like orangey red, and I could not see the screen because it was so sunny. But yeah, look at the moon. Well, I don't even know if it's capturing it, but the moon is literally so beautiful. Again, it's almost a new moon. Oh my gosh, it looks so dark where I'm at. This building is covering me right now. But yeah, so the way that you interact with your body and the way that you interact with your brain is all connected, right? But yeah, I'm gonna do another stream specifically about the gut microbiome, because I don't think people understand the heart, brain, and gut connection that we have, and all three of those dictate our lives to a certain extent, right? And realistically, if someone were to say like it's really just your heart and your gut, I'd be fine with that, because your gut microbiome and what you eat and the amount of water you drink, again, it plays a part in the way you think and the mental processing. So I hope those 3 articles, drove that point home. Again, I am doing more research on this, but this is something that kind of intersects with all three of the things that I'm passionate about with the mind, body, and spirit. Um, so I just think that's very interesting, right? And also, I think that if people really understood how easy it is to heal yourself and to change your own mindset by small actions and small changes, I think that people would be more inclined to taking care of themselves and more inclined to not freak out about if they get sick or something like that, you know? Because everything is temporary and it changes. So you could be having a really good day, go outside and be in a great mood, and then the next day or 2 days later you can simply be in a different environment and it really negatively affects you and you feel like you have a bad day. So it's really up to how you feel, what's going on in your life, and how you're taking care of yourself at the end of the day. But also, you have to make sure that you're having that work-play balance, that you're having that time to yourself, that you're grounding, because someone can become obsessive with this type of information, right? I'm trying to think of the word. I think it's called hypochondriac, if I'm not mistaken. But those are people who like freak out or get anxious about their health, to the point where it like keeps them up at night if something's wrong. So I also want this information to be out there so people aren't freaking out as much, so people have better sleep, so people can just feel, I don't know, like they can take care of themselves more. Because, again, going back to that hypothetical earlier with the person with schizophrenia, right? If you're someone who has the ability to make small shifts in their life, enough to create neuroplasticity, enough to create and shift your mental and your mindset, then of course you would want to take care of yourself. Of course you would have a more positive aura, a more solution oriented mindset, right? So yeah. And it's so funny because the other day when I was out here, I was like, oh, I don't have my tripod with me. And then I have my tripod with me and like everybody's out here. So it just looks like I'm carrying this big stick. Funny enough. But yeah, so I feel really good about the way that I took notes and shared. So I hope everyone is well. As you can see, a lot of people at the park, even some people at the water park. So yeah, and I'm the only one by myself. Everybody's like paired or grouped up. So it's just me and the internet today, guys. But quick short story. Before I went live, you know, as I normally like walk through the neighborhoods to the park, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just wait a minute and I'll go live before going to the park. And I saw this really cool tree. I was like, oh, I'll share it on the live when I go back. So I might do that today. I might just do that next time if I go live from my neighborhood instead of at the park. But basically, there was someone who got kicked out of their house, and they were like carrying all their things with them. And I actually went a different route to the park today. So I was like, oh, let me just go this way. Let me walk this way. And I was observing the new sign in my neighborhood, this cool looking tree, and this person who's like 5 bags on them, right? And to come to find out, it was this 18-year-old named Faye. They just turned 18 and they got kicked out around the time of their birthday a few days ago, and they were coming to get the rest of their stuff from whoever house they lived with, probably their parents. But I was like, hey, and they stopped. I was like, hey, do you need help? And it turns out they were literally kicked out carrying their stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, that kind of like moment following your intuition, but that moment of like, I'm gonna do something else because this XYZ. No, no, no. Do something else and follow that intuition because you don't know where you're needed. You don't know where other people need help. You don't know how you taking that small action impacted their life. Even if we weren't walking that long of a distance to the car that she was being picked up at. Thankfully, she had friends, but she's very young. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Good luck to you. And we're talking, and she's a very young person. And she was like, oh, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 26. I don't look it. I know. But yeah, I was like, all right, well, I go to this park in the evening, so I might see you there, and I go live there, so feel free to, say hi or pop in. She was like, oh, okay, She was like, I've never seen you here. I was like, oh, I just moved here a few months ago, blah, 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 blah. So, you never know how much a small act of kindness or just, an act of service can really push someone and propel someone into a different mindset, into a more positive mindset, right? I talked, I think for 3 lives, but for 2, I know 2 specific lives I talked about raising your vibration, lifting your vibration, your aura, your energy. All of that can change by just one stranger, just one act of kindness, just one, hey, let me go a different route. Let me listen to this intuition. Let me just do this. You never know who you're gonna meet. And you never know who you're gonna meet. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this nice walk. And what's today? I think it's Wednesday. Let me check. Actually, I'm not. Oh, it's Tuesday. Okay, it's Tuesday, September 2nd. Happy September, everyone. But yeah, I will definitely be posting. I'm not gonna say every night or 5 nights a week, but I'm gonna try to keep this. I'm gonna try to keep a steady scheduling and posting for lives. I haven't made a video in a while because of the phone situation that I'm in, but hopefully things turn out differently this month, differently this September. I've planted a lot of good seeds, and now I'm doing educational content to try to pivot and get my thoughts out. But I want to keep these lives kind of like a podcast and just talking about specific topics. So I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who watches after the live is posted. But thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. I will be posting before Friday for sure. There is a red moon or a blood moon this Sunday, September 7th, and it will be visible during the day, during dusk specifically. So it's going to be very interesting, and I definitely will do a live before that. But, this was the mental health, mental balancing type of live. So I hope everyone got some good information out of it, and just stay grounded and go outside as much as you can if we're not in a positive environment. But I do want to say as well, Geico card, that's so cute. But yeah, I do want to say that there's a lot of changes happening right now in the world. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of planetary shifts as well. And a lot of those things affect us in a less direct way than we think. So even if something indirectly affects you, it still affects you at the end of the day, right? So even if you're someone who doesn't feel like they need to meditate, or doesn't feel like they need to ground, or doesn't feel like they need to stretch or exercise, please make sure you're taking care of yourself still. Please make sure that you are not staying in your comfort zone and not just doing things in a cyclical nature. Please, please, please take care of your mental health. please take care of your nutrition, and please take care of your spirit, right? Mind, body, and heart connection. 3, they all interconnect. And what did I say last time? If your brain and your heart and your gut are disconnected, that means your mind, body, and spirit is also disconnected. So they all work together. It all happens in harmony. Nothing that we do in our body is separate from each other. Okay? So I want you all to meditate this week. Meditate on your awareness and your self-discipline. And I want to just say thank you again for the views on my last live. And I appreciate everyone who likes the live, who watches, who engages as well. You know, like, leave a comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you took away from the video. I'd appreciate it. But it's been an hour, so I reached my goal. I'm going to try to do live streams for an hour or close to it, but that's a pretty good spot for like conversations and talking points. But also, I wanted to share a quote. It was on my index card. I forgot to share it. It says, in the past, there were holy texts and books saying that the kingdom of heaven is near, but really, the kingdom is within you. Kingdom is within you. Kingdom is within you. Remember that. Right? Love you guys so much. And I will see you later. Maybe not tomorrow, but again, definitely before Friday. All right? And, oh my gosh, I have to share this. And before I go, because I just remembered it, I found my like intro, outro, neutral greeting, and it is from someone that I was watching their shorts actually, and they speak about Kemet and Kemetic culture and fasting and treating your body as a temple, right? And they say Hetsepu in the beginning of their videos, and that is a Kemetic Egyptian greeting. Peace to you, peace unto you, right? The same thing that other cultures and traditions said from Kemet, Hetsepu. Peace be with you all, and bye-bye.